It is Tuesday, February 7th, and you're watching Right on Cue College Sports. Welcome back. Thanks for stopping by again. Boy, what a fun weekend we had of college basketball. Hope you guys were able to take some time and watch those games. You know, starting to come down the stretch here, starting to piece together the teams that you think you're going to be picking to advance in that NCAA tournament bracket when we get to that point. So let's go ahead and start right here with our game on Friday, the big battle out of the Mountain West, where we had a chance for Colorado State to avenge their embarrassing, humiliating loss to San Diego State from earlier in the season. This one was at Moby Arena in Fort Collins on Friday at 7 p.m. San Diego State, it was just a battle back and forth. The line coming into this game was even. Colorado State pulls out the win by 58-57 in a massive, massive win for the Colorado State Rams. San Diego State out-rebounded the Rams by 17 in their first matchup, as CSU was 12 rebounds below their season average. The Rams got out-rebounded by 12 in this one as well. That could be a little bit of a concern, especially if you're getting out-rebounded on the defensive glass. That's added possessions for the other team, your opponent. The Aztecs got 12 more offensive rebounds. That's what I'm talking about right there. This will be a problem moving forward they need to address. However, and that's going to be, on Deshaun Thomas, Adam Thistlewood, and James Moore. You got to be coming up bigger than that, getting more rebounds than that. The difference in this one, though, was that the Rams defense played exceptional, forcing 17 turnovers. San Diego State shot just 30% from the field. The combination of Roddy and Stevens combined for just 1 assist to 7 turnovers in the last game. They combined for 8 assists in this one. Much better ball control, much better facilitation out of the backcourt in this game. Matt Bradley for San Diego State had 27 points, 4 rebounds, and then really no one else on the team had more points than 8. So there was just not a ton of additional production. If they didn't have Matt Bradley this season, I think San Diego State is not making the NCAA tournament. So he is really kind of the do-all player for them. David Roddy for the Rams had 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists. Just barely missed out on a double-double himself. Poor shooting game for Isaiah Stevens. John Tanji stepped up, though, in his way and made 16 points. That was a pretty big performance, especially as one of your top players is shooting poorly. Better guard play, like I said. It was enough to eke it out at home, but the Rams are still vulnerable under the hoop. I think that's going to be a bigger problem they need to address moving forward. The Mountain West Conference has 5 teams in the top 60 in the net rankings this year, and Nico Medved's squad is as good as any of them. So Colorado State is now entering a tough 3-game stretch at Nevada, Fresno State with big Orlando Robinson, and then at Boise State, which will be kind of a battle for supremacy in the Mountain West. This team will make the tournament. So go ahead and celebrate, Rams fans. You're going to the tournament. But you got to get more physical, especially under the hoop, if they're going to make any waves when they get there. Then on Saturday, at 10 a.m., number 17 UConn rolled into number 12 Villanova, and Villanova just showed why they're the class of the Big East in winning 85-74. Villanova was heavily favored, and then justifiably so, they jumped out to a big lead. Villanova was up 40-29 at halftime behind tremendous defensive play and 60% shooting on the offensive end. So everything was clicking in the first half for Villanova. And then the guy I've been bagging on a bunch, and I think justifiably so. He's way overhyped. But Colin Gillespie finally shot well. He shot 48%, and he only had 1 turnover. So this is the Colin Gillespie we've been waiting to see out of Villanova. Maybe that is an indication of future play, which would be a good sign for Nova moving into the NCAA tournament. The sophomore forward Eric Dixon had a big game, 24 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists. He was also 4 for 4 from the free throw line. That's easy money right there. When your big man is going 4 for 4 from the free throw line, Colorado fans, we know this from Evan Batty. He is a tremendous free throw shooter. You just rarely see that out of a big post player. So that's found money right there. But the Huskies offense finally found some success for the first time in a couple of weeks. They had been averaging fewer than 58 points in the last couple of games. This game was really up and down. R.J. Cole was kind of a Tasmanian devil in this game. He scored 25 points, but it was like wildly out of control. It was like Russell Westbrook style basketball. 25 points on just 13 shots, but he gave up 5 turnovers. Out of control, like I said. But the top end on that is tremendous value if he can control the turnovers. Likewise, for Connecticut, Adam Sanogo collected 14 points and had 2 blocks in the game. But as far as rebounds, I mean, Sanogo was a non-factor on the glass. So that's a problem. That's not acceptable right there. This is a very young Husky squad, but that can't happen. Like I said, if UConn wants to be a second weekend team in the NCAA tournament. Next, let's move on to, at 10 a.m. on ESPN, we had number 15 Illinois traveling to Indiana. Now, this is a sneaky good, kind of a really difficult to figure out Indiana team. They've had really good wins and they've had really bad losses. Ultimately, Illinois got the win 74-57. Illinois has now won 4 in a row. 2 of those were over top 11 teams in the country. Kofi Coburn in this game kind of had a pedestrian performance. He's been just lights out in their streak as they've been coming down the back end of the season. But he had kind of a pedestrian performance by his standards. 17 points, 8 rebounds. After going off versus Wisconsin for 37 points, 12 rebounds on 85% shooting. So here's just a quick digression here, a look at the Vegas odds to win the Naismith Award. At plus 750, the front runner is Johnny Davis from Wisconsin. Then tied at plus 900, Kansas, Ochai Agbaji, and the aforementioned Illinois, Kofi Coburn. So we are talking about elite cream of the crop players in the country. Andre Curbelo played limited minutes again as he recovers from an injury, but in his absence, Alfonso Plummer, 14 points, 4 rebounds, and Jacob Gradison chipped in another 4 assists. There's just a ton of depth in the guard play for this Illinois team. This is why they've been able to sort of weather the storm as they've had games that Kofi Coburn couldn't play or Andre Curbelo has been injured. They have a ton of depth at the guard position. The Illini played most of the game with 4 guards and 1 center, obviously Coburn being that center. Trent Frazier was impressive, pouring in 23 points, and he had 4 assists as well. But most importantly, the 4-guard structure put the Hoosiers' offense kind of in a straitjacket. In the second half, Indiana scored only 21 points. Trace Jackson Davis, their by far best player, had just 6 points on 3 of 9 shooting in the game. He was averaging 18.5 and 8 rebounds coming in. So they just threw a straitjacket on Trace Jackson Davis. The Illini forced the forward Race Thompson to beat them off the dribble, and he was just not effective. He had 13 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, not enough production to hang with Illinois. The Illini have now won 12 of their last 14 games. This team is a freight train rolling down the tracks. Illinois is now up to number 12 in the net rankings. They lead the Big Ten standings. I think Illinois is as good as any team in the Big Ten right now. We will see how they fare when they go up against like the Purdue's of the world. But then at noon on Longhorn Network, Iowa State, number 20 in the country, traveled to Austin to take on Texas. Texas, if you ponied up to subscribe for the Longhorn Network for this one, you saw one of the most masterful defensive exhibitions that I've seen in the last few seasons in college basketball. Texas was heavily favored in this one, even though Iowa State beat them by 9 just a couple of weeks ago. I said this would be a close one, and I was wrong. Final score, 63-41 Texas. Yeah, you heard that correctly. 41 points for Iowa State. The Longhorns have the nation's leading defense, and they held the Cyclones to just 25 points on 30% shooting in the first half, and they were just getting started. In the second half, the boa constrictor defense of the Texas Longhorns held Iowa State to just 18 points on 25% shooting. Their defense got more exceptional as the game went on. Really pretty impressive. Obviously, something that contributes to that, Iowa State started shooting more three-pointers, more very low accuracy potential shots. But only 4 times all year has Chris Beard's unit given up more than 60 points in a game. That is wildly impressive. Iowa State made only 2 of their 15 three-pointers in the game, and they were forced into 18 turnovers. This defense is elite. Texas is a quandary just because they don't have any offense, Like I said, meanwhile, the Longhorn offense got clicking in the second half a little bit. They shot better than 50% from the field. Marcus Carr and Andrew Jones got out on the fast break. Carr ended up with 14 points, 8 assists. That's his best game by far this season. And Andrew Jones had 14 points and 2 rebounds. Not really anything noteworthy out of Timmy Allen. Played great defense, but they brought him in out of Utah. He transferred in because he was averaging last season a little over 17 points a game. He's given him like 6 a game now. I mean, it's pretty shocking how poor he has played this year. But for Iowa State, Gabe Kalcher had his by far worst game of the season. He had just 5 points and turned the ball over 5 times. When you have as many points as you have turnovers, that is a poor performance. Now, the freshman guard Tyrese Hunter played well, but his progression is not quite there yet. He's been developing, getting more minutes, getting more production. He had 10 points, 7 rebounds, and he played a season-high 28 minutes in the game. Also with the Cyclones, Isaiah Brockington had just 12 points on 29% shooting. He was 0 for 3 from three-point line. So really poor performance from him as well. But this Texas defense is just really, really tough. They put you in really bad positions. Brockington did have 8 rebounds, but he couldn't do it all, and there wasn't really much that the rest of the team provided. I told you the magic number for the Cyclones was 65 points. If they got to 65, they could win. They fell just short of that by 24 points. 41 points in a game. That's just barely over 1 point a minute. Wow. Now, the Cyclones don't play another ranked opponent until March 5th. That will be at Baylor. For the Longhorns, they host Kansas tonight and then travel to number 10, Baylor. They're going to need more than 6 points out of Timmy Allen. He needs to provide more scoring for them. I don't know what the problem has been with Timmy Allen, but this Texas defense can keep you in any game. So it wouldn't be shocking to me if they found a way to be able to knock off Kansas or Baylor. But we will see. Their defense is just really rounding into incredible condition as we head towards the NCAA tournament. Texas and Iowa State both will be in the NCAA tournament. There's no question about that. At 2 p.m. on ESPN, and then it's 2 weekends in a row, a game involving Kansas that was just a complete blowout. Okay, number 8 Baylor went into Fog Allen, where Kentucky beat Kansas by 18 last week, and Kansas, number 10, beat Baylor 83-59. Try a 24 burger. Okay, I mean that is just impressive. Baylor just got flat out outclassed in this one. Last week, the Bears lost on the road to Alabama. Then they won only by 4 to a really poor and beleaguered West Virginia team. And now, after this beatdown, I think Baylor is heading in a really concerning direction. The saga of what in the wide world of sports is going on with James Akinjo continues. Although he had only 3 turnovers in the game, he's averaging 6, by the way, on per game on the season. He had only 3 in the game, but he scored 0 points in 24 minutes on the court. That's just atrocious and terrible. LJ Cryer missed another game. We've talked about this now. When he misses games, when they have guards that are out, it really shortens the depth in the backcourt, forces James Akinjo to do dumb stuff because he thinks he's got to do it all. This was a completely flat performance by the Bears. Adam Flagler scored 16 points, but only went 3 of 8 from the three-point line. He was really kind of forcing the action late in the shot clock because the team was just not executing offensive sets. That's not a position you want to be in. As the shot clock's winding down, you have a guard just freaking out because they haven't created any shots, and he's got to try and drive and throw something up. Big David McCormack was steady. He's been playing much better the last 2 games since since Oscar Tshiebwe just dominated him in that game against Kentucky. But he's playing a lot more steady and consistent. He had 9 points, 8 rebounds, just barely missed out on a double-double, as the Jayhawks out-rebounded Baylor by 9. Christian Brown and Ochai Agbaji were absolutely lethal, especially out of the gate, early in the game and kind of putting it away. They combined for 36 points in the game, 19 rebounds, and 5 assists. Tremendous production out of the backcourt from Kansas. Their defense, after getting scorched, like I said, against Kentucky, this Kansas defense is playing much, much better. Next up for Kansas, they're at Texas tonight, like I mentioned. Baylor travels to Kansas State before hosting Texas on Saturday. These two teams have a rematch, keep in mind, on February 26th in Waco. Baylor's got a lot of things that they need to shore up and figure out before that game if it's going to be competitive. At 3 p.m. on Fox, number 19 USC traveled to what really seems to be now the class of the Pac-12, and that is the Arizona Wildcats, number 7 in the country. Arizona got the win 72-63. Now, I said USC had no chance in this game. USC had lost 3 of their last 7, and they were struggling to get offensive production going. But I do have to admit, the Trojans played very tough, and at least in the first half. They were down by 1 at halftime, 28-29, which had me surprised. And they were defending kind of the high-flying Wildcats pretty well. Arizona has one of the best offenses in the country by scoring by points per game. Isaiah Mobley had 9 points and 5 rebounds, and Chavez Goodwin had 3 rebounds and 2 steals early on in that game. Coming in, Southern Cal, keep in mind I mentioned this, was 238th in the country in turnover margin, and they really buttoned that up. This is what helped keep them in the game. They only had 8 total turnovers in the game. But Arizona's top 5 scoring offense in the country could only be held down for so long. All of a sudden, the paint. So Isaiah Mobley, early in the second half, got into foul trouble, and the entire game changed. All of a sudden, the paint was wide open for dribble drive penetrations and the feeding into the post. Azulis Tabellis finished with double-double, 18 points, 11 rebounds, and big Christian Coloco had 10 points and 7 rebounds as well. And one of my new favorite players, my guy Kirk Carissa, had another outstanding performance as he straight outplayed the Trojans guard Peterson, his counterpart on the other side. I thought the matchup was terrible for USC, and they really fought hard in the first half. But it became terrible in a matchup sense for USC as the game went on. After scoring just 29 points in the first half, Tommy Lloyd's bunch from Arizona dropped 43 in the second half and just ran away with this one. Arizona looks like a legit elite team. I would put them in that probably Elite 8 category. They don't face another ranked opponent all season. Meanwhile, USC gets a warm-up game versus Pacific, and then they host UCLA right after that. So these are two teams that are kind of going in different directions. I think USC is really petering off. Arizona is just surging right now out of the Pac-12. Then at 6 p.m. on ESPN, we got the opportunity to see number 5 Kentucky roll into Tuscaloosa, where Alabama had just beaten in their last home game the Baylor Bears. And this was going to be a fun one. I was really looking forward to this one because everybody discounts Alabama, and I tell you, they are because of that tremendous variance I always talk about. They could be in any game. Well, not so in this game. Kentucky put them away pretty early, and the score doesn't really reflect how much of a blowout this was. Kentucky really controlled it start to finish. Final score, Kentucky 66, Alabama 55. Now, Kentucky is such a talented and diverse team. They had 5 players reach double-digit scoring in this one, and Bama's defense just really struggled to keep up with all the sharing of the production that Kentucky was doing. Oscar Tshiebwe continues to be a runaway Naismith Award winner. He posted his 17th double-double of the season, just 10 points, but 15 rebounds, one in this one, and 4 steals and 1 block as well. So he's getting additional production as well. Oscar Tshiebwe has 5 games this year with 20 or more rebounds. One of those games, he collected 28 rebounds. This dude is a transcendent talent. This is history in the making right now. He is still ahead of the clip for most rebounds per game in the history of college basketball. You want to turn on and watch some of these Kentucky games because he's going to be a dude that's going to be in the record books for a long time to come. Shavir Wheeler at the guard spot continues to be masterful at facilitating things. He was averaging 7 assists per game coming in. He had 7 in this one. But one thing that's a little bit concerning is he was held scoreless. He was on the court 34 minutes and scored 0 points. I understand he's focusing on facilitating, but you got to get some additional production out of him. Ty Washington, the star freshman, had 15 points, and Kellen Grady and Keon Brooks both had 10. Those two, although they don't get the highlights, Kellen Grady and Keon Brooks, they are incredibly valuable and important to this team. Kentucky is a very, very good team. There is no question that this is a Final Four capable team that John Calipari has here. As for Alabama, the word in my mind continues to be variance. This is why they lost by 19 to Auburn on Tuesday, and variance went the wrong way again for Bama. Jaden Shackelford and Jahan Quinterly combined for just 4 of 22 from the field. They went 0 of 10 from three-point range. Okay, the Crimson Tide squad shot 30 three-pointers in this game, and they made just 3. This is the dangers of playing that style of basketball. On the positive side, Charles Bediako continues to progress in his freshman season. He had 12 points, 8 rebounds. He's good, steady production in the paint there. But he was really kind of the only effective weapon in this game. Nate Oates' bunch plays Ole Miss. Then they get Arkansas and Mississippi State before traveling to Kentucky. Kentucky's next lineup here, they have a couple of easy conference opponents before they play at number 19 Tennessee next Tuesday. Now I just want to spend a little bit of time here talking about a couple of ranked teams that suffered kind of troubling losses over the weekend. The first one is number 13 Michigan State. Just got flat dominated at Rutgers. It's really puzzling how that happened. Rutgers won the game 84-63. Gabe Brown had himself a pretty good game, 20 points, 5 rebounds. But outside of him, there was just not enough scoring. And what's the worst thing that can happen when you are not clicking on offense? For your defense to fall apart. So obviously their defense fell apart. Rutgers shot an incredible 62% from the field. They went 9 for 20 from 3. That's almost 50%. That is a high clip. Ron Harper Jr. and Clifford Omarui both had 17 points on the game, and the Scarlet Knights had 6 players hit double-digit scoring. I mean, it was come one, come all. Everybody come get your buckets in this game. I think we can chalk this one up to kind of being a one-off, just because Rutgers shot so exceptionally well, and it's just kind of an aberration maybe. But I think we can definitely say Sparty clearly needs to develop kind of another scoring threat outside of Marcus Bingham and Gabe Brown. And that defense, man, practice. You gave up 84 points to Rutgers. That Michigan State defense needs to get some work in at practice. So, but then the second kind of troubling loss from a highly ranked team was UCLA, dropping one at 7-13 Arizona State. Arizona State is not a good team. Not a good team. And UCLA found a way to drop this one. I will say, though, this was a damn fun game. I didn't really tune in until late, kind of later in regulation, but this game went to 3 overtimes. This was just the third time all season that UCLA's defense gave up 80-plus points. Okay, so similarly with Michigan State, giving up 80-plus points. There's some issues on defense you need to shore up if that's the case. The previous 2 games that UCLA gave up 80-plus points were Gonzaga and Oregon. Both of those are kind of understandable. Gonzaga, obviously, more so than Oregon. But this one, it doesn't make sense. Arizona State is not a good team. Johnny Juzang and Jaime Jaquez both had double-doubles in the game. 20 and 10 for Juzang, 27 and 11 for Jaime Jaquez. But as they pressed, they were both really loose with the ball. A lot of turnovers in this game. I'm not real sure at this point why Cody Riley is even out there. He really doesn't bring anything. He is not pulling down a bunch of rebounds. He's not clearing driving lanes. He's really kind of clogging up the paint, and he doesn't score any meaningful points. So I'm not really sure why Cody Riley's out there. And something else, I just don't understand, but the freshman kind of stud, Peyton Watson, he played just 4 minutes in this game and had no production. I thought they were kind of trying to bring him along coming down the stretch to be a real weapon off the bench, but he didn't see much play time in this game. UCLA missed some crucial free throws late in the game that kept Arizona State in it. This one, unlike Michigan State, this one does not seem like a one-off. I think UCLA and Baylor are the 2 teams that we believe are elite that have had real problems exposed lately. The Bruins have now lost 2 in a row, and they travel to the Farm to play Stanford, and then they're at USC. So it's going to be a couple of tough games. UCLA better button up the defense. Then on Sunday, we had, I really like this team. I'm really high on this team. They haven't played any real great non-conference games in a while, and so it's kind of hard to gauge just how good they are. But the Houston Cougars, number 6, rolled down into Cincinnati. Cincinnati's pretty good team, and Houston just beat the brakes off of them, 80-58. Man, Kelvin Sampson and this Cougar squad just keep rolling. Like I said, this Cincy team is no slouch. They beat Illinois earlier in the year, and were a bona fide bubble team coming into this game. But that Houston defense, second in the country in scoring defense, they just choked the life out of the Bearcats. Cincinnati had really just one effective weapon all game, and that was David DeJulius. He scored 25 points on 44% shooting, but the Cougars forced the Bearcats into 10 turnovers and held the rest of the team to just 29% from the field. That's really good field goal percentage defense. This Houston bunch is damn fun to watch, like I said. Fabian White had 22 and 9. It just missed out on a double-double. And Jamal Shed, coming back from an injury, had 17 points, 6 assists in the game. Another guy to keep your eye on, really kind of coming into his element here, Taz Moore. He shot 50% in the game and had 13 points. I think he's going to get increased minutes. You know, this Houston squad has had a number of injuries. Kelvin Sampson has really done an incredible job plugging pieces in, getting offensive sets working, and their defense has operated seamlessly. It's really pretty incredible. They're a very, very good, tough team. But they have a very tough stretch coming up here. Houston is at SMU. Then they get Memphis at home. Then they get UCF at home before going to Wichita State. All of those teams are at least 6 games above 500 on the year. That's a pretty tough stretch for them. As far as for Cincinnati, I think they might have sealed their tourney fate with this one. You know, it's not just that they lost, but they got completely dominated and beat down. I think Cincinnati probably is going to fade down the stretch here. But anyways, moving on to the next game. At 5 p.m. on FS1 last night. This one was so much fun. The Wyoming Cowboys traveled to a very, very good Fresno State squad and pulled out the win on the road, 61-59. What a big and important win for the Cowboys. Wyoming is just one spot out of the latest AP Top 25. So in effect, they're 26 basically in the country according to the AP. They're up to number 30 in the net rankings, and Ken Palm has them at 36. The matchup of bigs that I was looking forward to, Graham Ike and the 7-foot junior Orlando Robinson from Fresno State, both kind of held each other in check for the most part. Ike had 14 points and 8 rebounds, and Robinson had another double-double, 11 points and 10 rebounds. This battle, though, kind of opened up the post on the other side, and the player that really took advantage of that was Drake Jeffries. He had 6 points, but 9 rebounds, keeping possessions alive on that far post. And then always we talk about Hunter Maldonado. He just continues to be the straw that stirs the drink. Coming into this one, he was 5th in the nation with 6.4 assists per game while adding 19 points per game. So what did he do in this one? Well, he just had himself a 21.6 assist day to just keep rolling right along. He is an incredible, incredible talent and player. If you are in the Front Range area, you want to get out, you want to watch a game at Colorado State, you want to watch a game at Wyoming, they are playing some high caliber, great basketball. Both of these teams, in my opinion, are solidly into the NCAA tournament. So, get your popcorn and get ready. It's going to be fun come March. Wyoming's defense is starting to really look impressive as well. They out-rebounded Fresno State by 7 on the offensive glass. I've mentioned this multiple times. That extends possessions. That's what gives you a great chance to win. On Wednesday, February 23rd, the Cowboys are traveling to Moby in Fort Collins, Moby Arena, to play Colorado State. Now, last week, Wyoming won in overtime at home in Laramie over Colorado State. That one's going to be a fun one. I'm trying to figure out if I can get tickets to that one, but it might be sold out already. So that was just kind of a quick recap of the action that took place this weekend. Another great, wonderful weekend of action. College basketball is just so much fun, and we are getting close, marching closer and closer, ever closer to March Madness. So here it comes. Let's do a quick little recap of the picks I gave you for the weekend, see how we did. I gave you San Diego State on the road, getting the win over Colorado State. That was obviously not the case. Then I gave you on Saturday Villanova at home over Connecticut. That one paid off. I gave you Illinois on the road at Indiana. That one paid off. I then gave you Iowa State at Texas. I took Iowa State over Texas, and that one did not pay off. Texas is really a quandary and an enigma, and they win. That's now two weeks in a row I've picked against Texas, and they've made me pay for it, so maybe I better smarten up and stop doing that. I then gave you Kansas at home over Baylor. That one paid off. I gave you Arizona at home over USC. That one paid off. Then I gave you 2 road teams, Kentucky over Alabama on the road, and Wyoming over Fresno State on the road. Both of those paid off. So that for this weekend, I went 6-2. And the total for last weekend and this weekend, since the show has been on the air, we have now given you 19 wins to just 7 losses. That's 73%. Not bad. Hopefully we can improve it moving forward. But yeah, that's just sort of a little glimpse there, looking back at the action that took place this last weekend. Thanks so much again for hanging in here, checking it out, seeing what you think about this Right on Cue College Sports. This is a fun hobby of mine. I'm really enjoying it, and I appreciate you watching. So with that being said, we will catch you next time.